Hello, what's up, everyone? Good morning. It's your boy, the Crackhead, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful Friday. I've been here say they've been done sentence Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment yesterday. And as I be say, we will be content creators or we be speakers. When we they make news or analysis like this, when you know favor waiting most of una one here, una go talk say, Oga go sit down. You know, sabi what you they talk. For this country, who sabi waiting in the talk? Or those where sabi waiting in the talk, where has it led the country to? So make we analyze am as we sabi say they in line with wetin dey happen. Because if it no favor you, wetin I wan talk, but it go favor another person. When we talk about the sentence where judge been hand over to Nnamdi Kanu yesterday, the question is, was that judgment justified? Was the sentence justified? Life imprisonment? I know say a lot of una they'll say, why then go sentence Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment? Why then go even find am guilty? Why? When there are other people where they don't do so many things for this country, they never arrest them, not to talk of to judge them and to sentence them. But in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, why is it different? Is it because he is Igbo? Well, I go analyze this thing according as Wuta leads. First of all, regarding the judgment, is this justified? Is it not justified? Was it a sham judgment? Was it a sham sitting? What I have to say is this: the judgment itself is justified, but the process as to how they take achieve this judgment, no. Kanu Nnamdi or Nnamdi Kanu shouldn't have been tried following the way he was abducted from Kenya into Nigeria. In fact, that was the very reason where we make appeal court through away in case. Talk say the way they take abduct Kanu to Nigeria to be tried was not legal. We all know that. There was no proper arrangement between the Nigerian government and Kenyan government for repatriation of Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. So from then onwards, everything about the case, about the trial became a sham, became a play, because the government did not follow due process. I don't talk am here before. Say for countries where laws they work, if you as a prosecutor you get evidence not through the legal way, no matter how strong and how tight your evidence is, it will be inadmissible in a court of law. So that now why lawyers, prosecutors, then they make sure say anyhow they get their evidence, even if they want wiretap suspect, even if they want the record suspect, they need get permission from judge and tell judge why judge suppose give them approval in order for them to wiretap a suspect. What's the difference? Wetin Asari Dokubo been do make Asari Dokubo no face life imprisonment? As in, what went on? How were the crimes or the militancy of Asari Dokubo different from that of Nnamdi Kanu? Oh, yeah, we know. Say Nnamdi Kanu been stay somewhere, they make broadcasts, this and that, and there were destruction of lives and properties. But the key phrase here is destruction of lives and properties. They were destroyed in Nnamdi Kanu's sit-at-home broadcast, and they were also destroyed in Asari Dokubo's campaign. I go read for now. They need get approval from the judge. So that if they do it the other way without getting the approval, no matter how, if they like, make that evidence where they get, if na video, if na surveillance, if they like, make the guys for that surveillance confess how they want destroy a whole nation, as long as they did not go through the right channel. Now that time we always talk, say judges are biased. When there's evidence right in front of you, why would you dismiss it? Say it's inadmissible in court. That not to show you say judgment and justice need follow due process. So in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, how be it that judgment was justified, but the process to that judgment was not. And when people ask, say, crackhead, why you go even talk, say the judgment was justified? First of all, we all know, we heard waiting they sit at home being cause. A lot of us been watch the broadcast when Nnamdi Kanu been they make. Talk say made them buy people where they come off for house. In fact, those statements alone carries heavy weight. And what of those people who have been by? Or the families of those people who have been by during this sit-at-home conflict? Do you think that judgment is not justified for them? It is. But again, I still stand by my sayings and my words that the way to the judgment, just the way to a cross, was not justified. But the crucifixion was justified. So it's not a balance. It's okay, it's good on one hand, it's not good on the other hand. The judgment is right, but the way to the judgment was not right. So this is the problem for the judgment or the trial of Nnamdi Kanu. And I know say many of you now no go forget say me too I become this social media. Talk say made them free Nnamdi Kanu when Showore been do protest to free Nnamdi Kanu. Make I tell you now why a lot of people been join Showore. Why a lot of people been talk about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. The reason is because what is good for the Jews is good for the Gentile. Because now for this same Nigeria we see as in the pardon criminals. Now for this same Nigeria we see say bandits, they do meeting, peace meeting with government. So once we have seen all that, and even though we sabi say Nnamdi Kanu been done effort, so if you don't release other people where don't effort, why not release one more person where don't effort? That was the reason for the protest. No be like saying we forget, say we painted Nnamdi Kanu as a saint for asking for his release. No. If you don't release bandits, if you don't forgive Boko Haram terrorists, if you don't see the people where they cause insurgency for our country, you know, arrest them. So why can't you release the other person? All right, and again, I will just say why this is going on with Nnamdi. As in, why una really want nail Nnamdi Kanu? Where we say other people be do almost the same thing when I know the nailer. My research took me to the person we una know Asari Dokubo. I go ask internet. As I been asked if Asari Dokubo disturbed Niger Delta. He replied, yes, Asari Dokubo significantly disturbed the Niger Delta through his leadership of the Niger Delta People's Volunteer Force. See, him gets his own organization, Niger Delta People's Volunteer Force, just like Nnamdi Kanu will get Biafra, indigenous people of Biafra, which engaged in armed conflict and directly targeted the region's oil industry in the early to mid-2000s. His activities were a major catalyst of unrest and included one, armed conflict. IPOB, they been get armed conflict. They mean make one faction ESN. ESN, I remember. Yeah, armed conflict or Asari Dokubo case. His activities were a major catalyst for unrest and included armed conflict. The NPDVF engaged in intense gun battles with rival militant groups such as the Niger Delta Vigilante for control of resources and territory, primarily in Port Harcourt and Warri. When I read this first one, I say, okay, it's not the same with that of Nnamdi Kanu because Nnamdi Kanu, in own violence, when being caused as a result of his broadcasting, was to his people. And they wanted to cut away from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Whereas Asari Dokubo was, his own conflict was targeted with another group of vigilante, not the government, but I say, okay, let me keep reading further. The second one, oil production disruption. Dokubo's group was funded largely by oil theft, bunkering, and their threats and attacks on oil wells and pipelines forced companies to withdraw personnel and shut down production, causing Nigeria's oil output to drop significantly and impacting global oil prices. There have been talks saying Nnamdi Kanu sit at home, been disrupt the economy. And I see here, Asari Dokubo's campaign also disrupted the economy. Let's read further. Threat against the state. He declared all-out war against the Nigerian state and oil corporations, leading to his arrest on treason charges in 2005. This is where it got interesting. He declared all-out war, just like Nnamdi Kanu declared all-out war, a treasonable offense. Asari Dokubo also a treasonable offense, and he was arrested in 2005, just like Nnamdi Kanu was arrested. So why is Asari Dokubo, even when he was arrested, not in life imprisonment, what do they call him, sentence, whereas Nnamdi Kanu is. They ask questions so to those that talk say, Oga go sit down, you know sabi wetin you dey talk. You wey sabi wetin you dey talk, why you no talk? And as you sabi wetin you dey talk, why this country never improve? Nobody sabi wetin in dey talk, if to be honest. All right, let's read further. Militancy recruitment. The NDPVF served as a training ground for future militant leaders, contributing to the proliferation of armed groups in the Delta region. You see that happen to you now, even though we say now him they directly control them, but what he started is still going on. The Kubo's actions were part of a broader struggle by the Ijaw ethnic group for greater control of the Niger Delta's vast oil resources and self-determination, stemming from widespread poverty and a lack of development in the region despite its immense wealth generation. His involvement was a key factor in the period of peak militancy in the Niger Delta between 2005 and 2009, which eventually led to the government offering a presidential amnesty program to militants to restore peace and oil production. For Niger Delta, because of this wahala, we offer presidential amnesty program. Which amnesty program have been offered for Southeast when sit-at-home wahala been happen? Asari Dokubo was released from prison in June 2007, 2 years. After 2 years, he was released. Primarily on medical grounds due to deteriorating health from hypertension and diabetes, and as a political gesture to foster peace talks in the volatile Niger Delta region. Kanu Nnamdi also had health issues during his DSS detention. But was he released? In fact, maybe we don't even read further. Because a lot of them will talk, say, he own different, Nnamdi Kanu own different. Well, me, as I dey here, I no come to hate on anybody. I no support Nnamdi Kanu for what he been do. I no been support him. Neither did I support Asari Dokubo for what he been do. But as you can see, these were two people fighting for a cause. One fought for the liberation of Biafra, and the other one fought for the wealth that is in his region. He called out an all-out war to the state of Nigeria, to the country of Nigeria. But after arrest, 2 years later, he was released. So, I beg, make una tell what's the difference? I ask AI, okay, when it comes to buying, how many people Nnamdi Kanu campaign been buying versus how many people Asari Dokubo been buying? For Asari Dokubo case, it says over 500 deaths in related conflicts. Amnesty International reported that more than 500 people died before a truce was negotiated between the two main rival groups, NDPVF and NDV, in the mid-2000s. When it comes to Nnamdi Kanu, how many people? It says the hundreds of deaths since 2021. A report by SBM Intelligence released in May 2025 indicated that a violent enforcement of sit-at-home protests by IPOB factions since 2021 has led to at least 700 fatalities in Nigeria's southeast region. So, Asari Dokubo, about 500. Nnamdi Kanu, about 700. So, difference of 200. Now, one time said that difference of 200 make una give Nnamdi Kanu life imprisonment. Okay, what about the Christian genocide where they talk about? They talk say more than 500,000 Christians don't buy. Who buy those people? No be the same people who buy those people. They come peace talks. No be the same people they move around. What have you guys done to Gumi where they protect, where they talk on behalf of these headsmen? Well, I don't arrest Gumi. If it's not in the country, well, I don't go look for an arrest as soon as go look for Kanu arrest for Kenya. So you see, that was why we made that protest for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Because if other things are happening and the law does not work for these same people, why is it working for one person? That's what I'm asking. So is the judgment of Nnamdi Kanu, is it justifiable? Is that life sentence justifiable? I'm going to say it again. On one hand, yes, Nnamdi Kanu is paying for what he did in his campaign during the sit-at-home, and with all the broadcasts he made, he's paying for that. But again, the way in which he's paying for it is not legal. So while the judgment is right, the process to the judgment was narrow, not straightforward. That is what we're talking about. It's your boy, the crackhead. I see the talking. What is good for the Jews is good for the gender. As soon as they prosecute people, in one way, make una see carry that same energy, arrest the people that should be arrested and prosecuted the same way you guys are prosecuting one person, because it don't make sense. It don't make sense. I'm not condemning his prosecution. I'm just analyzing. Because on one hand, yes, he deserve for waiting him they do, but on the other hand, the way una take prosecution no make sense. Asaidu Kubo was also guilty, but somehow, una let him slip through una fingers. And Nnamdi Kanu can use as scapegoat. It no make sense. It's your boy, the Crackhead, wishing you all a wonderful Friday. Bye for now.